Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak about something incredibly important, something that affects all of us at one point or another in life. It's the feeling of being a victim, of being helpless, of being at the mercy of circumstances or other people's actions. We've all been there in situations where we felt like we had no control, where the world seemed unfair and we were left to pick up the pieces. But I'm here to tell you today, never be the victim again. That might sound like a bold statement, but it's one rooted in the power we all possess. You see, being a victim isn't just about the things that happen to us. It's about how we respond to those things. It's about our mindset, our attitude, and the choices we make after life knocks us down. We cannot always control what happens to us. Life will throw curveballs, people will disappoint us, plans will fail, and hardships will arise. But what we can control is how we rise from those setbacks. We can choose to remain in the shadows of those events, or we can choose to rise above them. When we are faced with challenges, adversities, or even daily frustrations, our natural inclination is often to react impulsively. We've all experienced it, the sharp words that leave our mouth when we feel insulted, the frustration that boils over when something doesn't go our way, or the sinking feeling of disappointment when we are blindsided by unexpected setbacks. In these moments, we feel a surge of emotion, anger, fear, sadness, or frustration, and we react. It's human nature, and it's a deeply ingrained survival mechanism. But there's a significant difference between reacting and responding. Reactions are often automatic, driven by our emotions in the heat of the moment. They are primal, impulsive, and frequently rooted in our subconscious fears and defense mechanisms. When we react, we're not thinking, we're simply letting our emotions dictate our actions. While reactions can sometimes protect us from immediate harm, they often leave us feeling out of control, and we may regret our actions later. Reactions can lead to misunderstandings, broken relationships, missed opportunities, and a sense of helplessness because in those moments we are not operating from a place of power or thoughtfulness. Consider a simple example. You're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You feel the frustration rising within you, and before you know it, you're honking the horn, muttering under your breath, or maybe even yelling the other drivers. That's a reaction. It's driven by the immediate surge of frustration and the anxiety of being late. But what does it accomplish? Does honking the horn make the traffic move faster? Does yelling ease your stress or make you feel any better? Typically, the answer is no. In fact, these reactions often heighten our stress and reinforce the sense that we're at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. Now, let's contrast that with a response. A response comes from a place of mindfulness. Instead of letting the heat of the moment dictate your actions, you pause, take a breath, and assess the situation with clarity. Responding requires a shift in perspective. It's about creating space between the stimulus, the thing that's happening to you, and your action. In that space, you regain your power, your ability to choose how you want to handle the situation. Then you shift from reaction to response. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You become proactive instead of reactive. You ask yourself questions. What is really happening here? Is this something I can control? What's the best way for me to handle this so that I don't let the situation dictate how I feel for the rest of the day? In the traffic scenario, a response might be acknowledging that while being late is inconvenient, getting worked up won't change the situation. Instead, you might use the time to breathe deeply, listen to a calming podcast, or mentally prepare for your meeting. You might even call ahead and inform others that you're running behind. By doing so, you're taking control of your emotions and your actions. This shift from reaction to response doesn't just apply to everyday inconveniences like traffic. It's vital in every area of our lives, especially when dealing with significant challenges or conflicts. Imagine being in a heated argument with a loved one. In the heat of the moment, you might react defensively, saying things you don't mean or raising your voice to be heard. In these reactive moments, we often lose sight of the bigger picture, the relationship itself, and what truly matters. But if you pause, take a step back, and respond instead of react, the outcome can be entirely different. When you choose to respond, you allow yourself to approach the conversation with calm, clarity, and compassion. You listen more intently, and you communicate more thoughtfully. Responding fosters understanding, while reacting often fuels division. Shifting from reaction to response is an empowering practice because it puts you in the driver's seat of your emotions and decisions. You are no longer being pulled by the whims of your feelings or external circumstances. Instead, you are consciously deciding how to engage with the world around you. It's the difference between feeling like a victim of your emotions and being in control of them. This concept is particularly transformative when facing unexpected life challenges. When something painful or unjust happens, it's easy to react with anger, self-pity, or despair. These reactions can become habitual responses to adversity, keeping us trapped in a cycle of negativity. But when we practice responding instead, we break free from that cycle. We can look at the situation with a clearer mind. And though we might still feel the emotional impact, we don't allow those emotions to dictate our behavior or our future. Responding gives us the opportunity to ask, what's my next step? What can I learn from this? How can I use this challenge to grow stronger? And one of the most powerful examples of this shift from reaction to response is seen in stories of individuals who face extreme adversity. Think about those who have been wronged, hurt, or faced unimaginable obstacles. Some people in these situations may initially react with bitterness or anger, which is completely understandable. Those who transform their lives often reach a point where they choose to respond instead. Instead of letting the injustice or hardship define them, they take back their power by consciously deciding how to move forward. They refuse to let the past dictate their future, and they focus on what they can control, which is their mindset and their actions moving forward. Taking responsibility for our lives and actions is one of the most empowering choices we can make. However, in our society, there is a pervasive tendency to assign blame whenever things go wrong. It's so easy to point fingers, to lay the responsibility for our problems at the feet of others, or to claim that our circumstances are the cause of our struggles. We often hear phrases like, it's not my fault, or if only they hadn't done this, which create a narrative where we place ourselves in the role of the victim. While it's a natural instinct to seek solace and blame, embracing this mindset can keep us trapped in a cycle of helplessness and resentment. The reality is that blaming others or external circumstances for our situations can be incredibly disempowering. When we focus on blame, we relinquish control over our lives and hand it over to those we perceive as the culprits. We give away our power, believing we are at the mercy of others' actions or the world's unfairness. This mindset can become a barrier to our personal growth, preventing us from recognizing that we have the ability to change our circumstances and our reactions to them. Let's take a moment to consider the concept of blame. When we blame someone or something for our problems, we create a narrative where we are the victim and they are the villain. This narrative may offer temporary comfort, but it also robs us of the opportunity to take ownership of our lives. The act of blaming often comes from a place of fear or vulnerability. It is our instinct to protect ourselves and avoid facing the discomfort of taking responsibility for our actions, choices, and their consequences. However, while this instinct may feel safe in the short term, it ultimately prevents us from moving forward. Taking responsibility means acknowledging our part in any situation, regardless of how unfair it may seem. It involves recognizing that we have choices, even in the face of adversity. For instance, let's say you find yourself in a job that you dislike. It's easy to blame your boss for their management style or your coworkers for their lack of teamwork. However, this perspective keeps you in a victim mindset, helpless to change your situation. Instead, ask yourself, what role did I play in getting here? Did I take the initiative to seek out opportunities that align with my goals? Did I communicate my concerns effectively? Did I allow myself to stay in a situation that wasn't serving me? By examining these questions, you shift from a victim mentality to a more empowered position where you can explore potential solutions. Taking responsibility doesn't mean accepting blame for everything that happens to us, especially when external circumstances are beyond our control. Life can be unfair and injustices can occur that are not our fault. However, even in those situations, we still have the power to choose how we respond. By focusing on our response, we reclaim our agency. For example, if someone has wronged us, we can either wallow in bitterness and resentment or choose to learn from the experience, adapt, and grow stronger. This is the crux of responsibility. It's about recognizing that we may have control over the actions of others or circumstances that befall us. We do have control over our reactions and decisions. One crucial aspect of taking responsibility is acknowledging our emotions and how they influence our actions. When we experience negative emotions, it's easy to project those feelings onto others or the situation, blaming them for our discomfort. But when we take responsibility, we acknowledge our emotions and understand that they are ours to manage. This requires self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It's about recognizing that while we cannot control how others behave, we can control how we process and respond to our feelings. When we accept responsibility for our emotions, we move toward healthier coping mechanisms and find constructive ways to address our feelings instead of projecting them onto others. Moreover, taking responsibility can lead to personal growth and empowerment. When we accept that we are in control of our choices and reactions, we begin to see opportunities for change and improvement. We can identify patterns in our behavior and seek ways to alter them for the better. For example, if we find ourselves consistently in toxic relationships, instead of blaming our partners, we can explore our own patterns of behavior. This self-reflection can lead to healthier choices in the future, breaking the cycle of negativity. In the realm of personal development, taking responsibility is a key element of resilience. Resilient individuals are those who recognize that setbacks and failures are part of life. Instead of allowing these experiences to define them, they choose to learn from them. They understand that by accepting responsibility for their actions, they can develop strategies to navigate future challenges. This is a powerful shift from viewing obstacles as barriers to seeing them as opportunities for growth and learning. Consider also how taking responsibility affects our relationships with others. When we blame others, we create division and resentment. It fosters an environment of defensiveness where open communication becomes challenging. In contrast, taking responsibility allows us to engage in more honest and constructive dialogues. It invites empathy and understanding, creating stronger bonds with those around us. When we acknowledge our role in any situation, we can approach conversations with humility and a willingness to listen. So this not only strengthens our relationships, but also fosters a culture of accountability and respect. In the professional realm, taking responsibility can significantly impact our career trajectory. When we own our successes and failures, we position ourselves as leaders. We become individuals who are not afraid to admit mistakes, learn from them, and make amends. This trait earns us respect from colleagues and superiors alike. It shows that we are committed to growth, both personally and professionally. By refusing to lay blame, we cultivate an environment of collaboration and innovation where everyone feels empowered to contribute and take ownership of their work. To truly embrace responsibility, we must also confront the discomfort that often accompanies it. Acknowledging our part in situations can be challenging, especially when it involves admitting mistakes or recognizing our shortcomings. It requires courage to face the truth about ourselves and our actions. However, this discomfort is a crucial step toward growth. By leaning into that discomfort, we break free from the shackles of blame and emerge stronger, more self-aware, and more capable of navigating the complexities of life. Ultimately, taking responsibility is not just a matter of personal growth. It is a powerful mindset shift that can change the way we interact with the world. It transforms us from passive observers of our lives into active participants. By rejecting the victim mentality and embracing responsibility, we unlock the potential to create a life of purpose, fulfillment, and empowerment. This journey requires self-reflection, honesty, and courage, but the rewards are profound. As we embrace responsibility, we take charge of our destinies and lay the groundwork for a more empowered, resilient, and fulfilling future. Cultivating inner strength is essential for navigating the complexities of life with resilience and grace. So, the inner strength refers to the psychological and emotional resources we draw upon when facing adversity. It encompasses qualities such as resilience, determination, self-discipline, and confidence. Unlike physical strength, which can be built through exercise and training, inner strength is developed through self-awareness, life experiences, and the choices we make in response to challenges. At its core, cultivating inner strength begins with understanding ourselves. Self-awareness is the foundation upon which we build resilience. It involves examining our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and recognizing how they influence our reactions to the world around us. Now, when we understand our triggers, the situations or interactions that provoke negative emotions, we gain insight into our patterns of behavior. This knowledge empowers us to respond more thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. As acknowledging our strengths and weaknesses, we can begin to work on the areas that need improvement while also nurturing our inherent abilities. The one significant aspect of cultivating inner strength is developing resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to change, and keep going in the face of adversity. Life is filled with challenges, and no one is exempt from experiencing pain, loss, or disappointment. However, resilient individuals possess a unique perspective. They view obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. They understand that setbacks are a natural part of life, and instead of allowing these difficulties to define them, they learn from their experiences and emerge stronger. To build resilience, we must embrace a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. This mindset encourages us to take risks, embrace challenges, and view failures as valuable lessons rather than reflections of our worth. When we cultivate a growth mindset, we become more open to learning and growth. Instead of fearing failure, we begin to see it as a stepping stone on our journey toward success. This shift in perspective fosters resilience as we become more willing to face challenges head-on and persist despite difficulties. Another vital component of inner strength is self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control our impulses, emotions, and behaviors in pursuit of long-term goals. It requires a commitment to our values and priorities, even in the face of temptations or distractions. Cultivating self-discipline means setting clear goals and creating actionable plans to achieve them. It involves making choices that align with our values, even when it's difficult. For instance, consider the commitment to a healthy lifestyle. It may be easy to indulge in unhealthy habits, especially when faced with stress or emotional turmoil. However, cultivating inner strength means choosing to prioritize our well-being over short-term gratification. It means making choices that reflect our long-term goals, whether that's through regular exercise, healthy eating, or mindfulness practices. The discipline to stick to these choices, even when motivation wanes, builds our inner strength over time. Moreover, self-discipline extends beyond personal goals. It also influences how we respond to challenges in our lives. When faced with adversity, our immediate reactions may be to give in to despair or frustration. However, cultivating self-discipline empowers us to pause, take a deep breath, and approach the situation with clarity. Instead of succumbing to negative emotions, we can choose to take constructive actions that contribute to our growth and healing. Confidence is another crucial aspect of inner strength. Confidence stems from a belief in our abilities and the conviction that we can navigate life's challenges. Building confidence involves stepping out of our comfort zones and taking risks. Each time we confront our fears, we expand our capabilities and reinforce our belief in ourselves. Even small acts of courage, such as speaking up in a meeting, trying a new skill, or setting boundaries in relationships, contribute to our overall sense of self-assurance. Cultivating inner strength also involves nurturing a positive self-image. Our self-talk plays a significant role in shaping our confidence and resilience. When we engage in negative self-talk, we undermine our abilities and create self-doubt. Conversely, positive self-talk can empower us to embrace challenges and recognize our worth. Developing inner strength means actively challenging negative thoughts and replacing them with affirming beliefs. Instead of saying, I can't handle this, we can shift to, I have faced challenges before and I can navigate this situation too. This simple change in language can profoundly impact our mindset and emotional well-being. Additionally, cultivating inner strength involves developing emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions and the emotions of others. It allows us to navigate interpersonal relationships more effectively and respond to challenges with empathy and understanding. By cultivating emotional intelligence, we can enhance our communication skills, resolve conflicts more constructively, and build stronger relationships. This skill also enables us to manage stress and anxiety more effectively as we become more attuned to our emotional needs and the needs of those around us. Mindfulness and self-compassion are also critical components of cultivating inner strength. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, acknowledging our thoughts and feelings without judgment. It encourages us to observe our experiences with curiosity and acceptance rather than reacting impulsively. By cultivating mindfulness, we become more aware of our emotional states and can respond with intention rather than reactivity. This awareness allows us to take a step back during challenging situations, helping us make thoughtful choices rather than succumbing to overwhelming emotions. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is about treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially during difficult times. It involves acknowledging that everyone struggles and that it's okay to experience pain and setbacks. Instead of berating ourselves for our failures, self-compassion encourages us to respond with warmth and acceptance. This practice fosters resilience as it creates a supportive internal dialogue that motivates us to rise again after setbacks. In addition to these personal practices, cultivating inner strength can be reinforced through our relationships and support systems. Surrounding ourselves with positive, uplifting individuals who encourage growth and resilience can significantly impact our journey. These connections serve as reminders of our strengths and provide support during challenging times. Engaging in open and honest conversations with trusted friends or mentors can help us gain perspective and foster our inner strength. Together, we can share our experiences, learn from each other, and remind one another that we are not alone in our struggles. Finally, it's essential to recognize that cultivating inner strength is an ongoing process. It is not a destination, but a journey that requires continuous reflection, effort, and growth. Life will present new challenges, and as we evolve, our understanding of ourselves will deepen. Embracing this journey means being open to learning, adapting, and evolving as individuals. The more we invest in our inner strength, the more resilient we become, enabling us to face whatever life throws our way with courage and confidence. Setting boundaries is a fundamental aspect of self-care and personal well-being that plays a crucial role in fostering healthy relationships and maintaining emotional balance. Boundaries serve as invisible lines that define our personal space, protecting our physical and emotional well-being from external pressures and influences. They empower us to establish a sense of identity and agency in our interactions with others, allowing us to engage authentically while safeguarding our energy and mental health. At the heart of effective boundary setting lies self-awareness. Understanding our own needs, values, and limits is essential to identifying where boundaries are necessary in our lives. Self-awareness requires us to engage in introspection and reflection, asking ourselves critical questions such as, what are my emotional triggers? What situations cause me discomfort or stress? Where do I feel my time and energy being depleted? By examining these questions, we can better understand our emotional landscape and determine which areas of our lives require clear boundaries to protect our mental and emotional health. There are several types of boundaries we can establish, including physical, emotional, and time boundaries. Physical boundaries relate to our personal space and comfort levels regarding physical touch or proximity. For instance, some individuals may feel uncomfortable with casual touch, while others may thrive on physical affection. Recognizing and articulating our preferences in this regard is essential for fostering healthy interactions. Emotional boundaries involve recognizing our feelings and ensuring that we do not take on the emotional burdens of others. This type of boundary is crucial in preventing emotional exhaustion and burnout. Then we care deeply for others. It can be tempting to absorb their stress or pain, but it is vital to remember that we are not responsible for managing their emotions. Setting emotional boundaries allows us to support others without compromising our mental well-being. Time boundaries focus on how we allocate our time and energy, ensuring that we prioritize our commitments and personal needs. In a world that often demands more from us than we can give, it's essential to set limits around our availability. For example, we might choose to dedicate specific hours to work and reserve evenings for personal time, family, or self-care activities. By setting clear time boundaries, we create a balanced schedule that aligns with our values and priorities. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful tools in setting boundaries. Many people struggle with saying no due to fear of disappointing others or feeling guilty about denying requests. However, it is crucial to understand that saying no is not an act of selfishness. Rather, it is a necessary assertion of our needs. By refusing to take on additional responsibilities that do not align with our priorities, we protect our time and energy for the commitments that truly matter to us. The process of saying no can be daunting, especially when we fear negative reactions from others. To navigate this discomfort, it can be helpful to practice assertive communication. Using I statements, we can express our feelings and needs without placing blame. For instance, instead of saying, "You always interrupt me," we can say, "I feel undervalued when my ideas are interrupted. I would appreciate it if we could take turns speaking." This approach fosters constructive dialogue and reduces defensiveness, allowing us to communicate our boundaries clearly. Setting boundaries also requires us to anticipate resistance, particularly from those who may be accustomed to crossing our limits. It is natural for some individuals to react negatively when confronted with boundaries, especially if they benefit from our previous lack of limits. In these situations, consistency is key. We must remain firm in our boundaries and reinforce their importance through our actions. By doing so, we communicate that we are serious about protecting our well-being and are not willing to compromise our limits. In addition to being assertive, we must also practice empathy and respect toward the boundaries of others. Recognizing and honoring the limits that others set for themselves creates a culture of mutual respect and understanding. When we respect others' boundaries, we model healthy behavior and encourage open communication. This reciprocity strengthens our relationships and fosters an environment where everyone feels empowered to assert their needs. Establishing boundaries can be particularly challenging in close relationships, such as those with family, friends, or romantic partners. In these dynamics, emotions often run high, and the fear of conflict can make it difficult to assert our needs. However, the absence of boundaries in close relationships can lead to feelings of resentment, misunderstandings, and emotional fatigue. When we fail to communicate our limits, we risk allowing our needs to go unrecognized, which can strain the relationship. For instance, in a romantic relationship, one partner may feel overwhelmed by the other's constant need for attention or support. In such cases, it is crucial for both individuals to communicate their needs and establish boundaries regarding personal space and time together. At openly discussing feelings and expectations, both partners can work toward finding a balance that respects each other's needs. In professional environments, boundaries are equally essential. Many individuals find it challenging to maintain boundaries at work due to pressures to meet demands, fears of disappointing colleagues, or a desire to be seen as a team player. However, establishing clear boundaries around work hours, responsibilities, and workload is vital for preventing burnout and maintaining work-life balance. For instance, if a colleague consistently seeks assistance beyond our agreed upon workload, it is important to communicate our limits and ensure that our own responsibilities are prioritized. Moreover, in the digital age, setting boundaries extends to our online presence and interactions. With the rise of social media and constant connectivity, it can be challenging to separate our personal and professional lives. Establishing boundaries around screen time, social media engagement, and availability is crucial for preventing digital burnout and reclaiming our focus. Setting specific times for checking emails or social media allows us to create a healthier relationship with technology, reducing stress and enhancing our overall well-being. While the process of setting boundaries can initially feel uncomfortable, it is essential to approach this practice with self-compassion. It's important to acknowledge that asserting our boundaries may provoke feelings of guilt or fear of judgment from others. Practicing self-compassion enables us to acknowledge these emotions without allowing them to dictate our actions. Instead of chastising ourselves for needing boundaries, we can remind ourselves that establishing limits is a fundamental aspect of self-care. By being kind to ourselves during this process, we reinforce our right to prioritize our needs and well-being. Recognizing that boundaries can evolve over time is also essential. As we grow and change, so too can our needs and limits. What may have felt acceptable in one phase of our lives might no longer serve us in another. Regularly reassessing our boundaries allows us to adapt to new circumstances and maintain a healthy balance. This may involve revisiting discussions with loved ones or colleagues to ensure that everyone is on the same page and comfortable with the established boundaries. Ultimately, setting boundaries enhances our sense of self-worth and reinforces our identity. When we assert our limits, we send a powerful message to ourselves and others: I matter. My needs are valid. This acknowledgement fosters a greater sense of self-esteem and confidence. As we experience the positive effects of setting boundaries, improved relationships, reduce stress, and a greater sense of control over our lives, we reinforce the belief that we are deserving of respect and care. In conclusion, setting boundaries is an empowering act of self-care that allows us to maintain our well-being and foster healthy relationships. By recognizing our needs, communicating them assertively, and respecting the limits of ourselves and others, we create a more balanced and fulfilling life. Establishing boundaries enables us to navigate our interactions with greater clarity and confidence, ultimately allowing us to live more authentically and joyfully. Our past doesn't define us, but the way we carry it forward can. If we allow the hurt, trauma, and unfairness to dominate our lives, we become prisoners of our past. But if we choose to rewrite our story, we can transform those same events into sources of strength. The key is recognizing that we are not what happened to us, we are how we move forward from it. Every scar, every challenge, every difficulty has the potential to become part of a story of resilience, courage, and triumph. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. It's not about excusing what others have done or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about releasing yourself from the chains of bitterness and anger. Holding on to grudges keeps us in a victim mindset. When we forgive, we let go of the control the past has over us. That said, we don't forget. We learn, we grow, we become wiser. Forgiveness is not about erasing the memory. It's about learning the lessons and moving forward. Lastly, one of the most powerful ways to break free from victimhood is through action. Whether it's setting goals, making changes in your life, or standing up for yourself, action propels us forward. It reminds us that we have the power to change our circumstances. Don't wait for the world to change around you. Take the steps to change yourself in your life, one day at a time. In closing, I want you to remember this: you are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you choose to rise from it. No one can take away your strength, your courage, or your ability to rewrite your story unless you let them. So stand tall, take back your power, and from this moment on, never be the victim again. Thank you.